Well, hello everyone. Thank you for watching. Today I'm going to give you a lot to think about. I'm going to explain to you why I think most senators in both parties and most members of the House of Representatives in both parties are purely deceitful. I think they are ripping off the people of this country. They're not committed to the best interests of America, and they've gotten away with it for so long. And they've been accountable to no one for so long. I really think they backed themselves in a corner. I'm not sure, so I'm gonna let you help me decide if I'm right. But I did a report on Obamacare when it was passed into law. What you're going to hear today, you won't hear any place else. I tried to give my facts and research to Senator Ted Cruz, and he just wouldn't even look at me. Went up the escalator like I wasn't even there, and this person, and he, boy, when they don't mind getting your donations, and boy, they don't mind you helping them. But man, once they get elected, Senator Ted Cruz treated me like I was scum, and that I didn't have the ability to hand him something that may help him and other lawmakers as well. I gave my research, my notebook, and the video that we produced on Obamacare to religious leaders. I gave it to healthcare providers, some doctors, and we actually had seminars to people who really cared about what was going on with Obamacare, and we would bring them and show them exactly what it was and why it needed not to be funded. However, fell on deaf ears. So now that it's back at the front of the table, now that it's back on the mouths of everybody in America, I pulled out my research and my notebook, and I'm going to share something with you today. And you ask me if God is not bringing to light the truth that these lawmakers never dreamed could be exposed. I think he's putting them all on the spot, but I'm just going to share just a little bit of what my information on Obamacare is. So don't go away. I believe God is pulling the cover off of corruption in the Congress, and we're going to let him do it. Call your friends and tell them Faye is on. She's going to expose incompetent lawmakers. They work 100 days a year, 113 if we are lucky. And it's time for lawmaker reform. Right now, they should go to part-time pay and part-time benefits. If you agree, let me hear from you. I am Faye Hardin, and this is I'm doing training for our prayer warriors, and you need to invest in your own prayer life. Get Congress at your fingertips. I've explained it to you on a couple of shows. Know who is in authority, know their phone numbers, their fax numbers, know their positions, know the congressmen and senators that have pictures, anoint their pictures with oil every day, and let's break hell over our nation's government. We have people that are so confused, especially some of the Democrat leaders. When they won, everything they wanted, they did, and all they would say is, we won. Well, now that the conservatives have won, they're saying we're going to sabotage everything you plan to do. And they depict us as people that literally, as far from who we really are as anybody could be, and we can't let the rhetoric or the mob organizing live. Get your congressional directory, $125. Say, Faye, I want to be an eagle. I want to fly with you. I want to know how to pray prayers that get answered, responses, interrupt what the Satan's doing, And I want my shofar that I can blow, that everyone can blow from the streets of Jerusalem. We got to bring God to earth. The other crowd is getting organized. They act like nobody has a choice but them. Good heavens, if you believe there's a God, you don't have a choice. You have to kill your own, or you don't have a choice. Well, that's changing, and we're having a little bit of backlash because of it, but it's time. We take a stand. We believe in God because we have a right to choose, and we must stop the mob organizing of our young black men and leading them down the path to Islam, to gangs, to the new Black Panthers, organizations that are dangerous and deny God. Don't let it happen. We can change it. Let me hear from you today. Write me a note, put a check, 125, say, Faye, I want to know. I believe there's thousands of you out there, and you need to obey God today and become a part of this network and pray with us. Get your weekly Face Facts. Pray with us every week, 2 hours a week. The information in here is exclusive, but it's proven facts. There's no hype, no junk. So I want to hear from you. I want you to join, become a partner, and also a prayer partner. And don't wait. Start at the onset of 2017. Today, I've got something I just have to tell you why you need to know who's in the Congress and who's in the Senate. The majority of them are the same ones that put us $20 trillion in debt. They're the same ones that funded George Bush's wars and his Ramadan state dinners and the Quran going into the White House, and has funded Barack Obama's executive orders and regulations and the release of the terrorists, release of prisoners onto our streets, the ignoring the violent crime among our young black guys. It's a disgrace. They have exploited the violence. They've exploited the tragedy of young blacks who are dead because of unnecessary violence. Trayvon Martin was nothing but a treasure trove of millions of dollars by liberal lawyers. I've never seen a young man exploited, a tragedy so exploited as Trayvon Martin in my life. The new Black Panthers, the Nation of Islam, the Reverend Jackson, the Reverend Sharpton, Eric Holder, and Barack Obama. Millions upon millions came into their coffers because of that young guy's tragic end. And none of it went back into the area that he was living to try to get young black guys on the right track. Still haven't. We are not going to let the mobs mark victims of the inner city, slums, the ghettos, the crime. Our children deserve better. If we do not throw out the lifeline, you are going to see terror in our streets like you have never seen before. If we don't reject the communist move and the mob organizing of young teenagers, mainly black, we're going to give an account to God for the blood that is going to be shed because the Christians didn't do what God has sent us here to do. We can bind the demons. We can thwart this community organizing in order to target the illiterate, the poor, people who didn't have a chance to start with because of irresponsible men and women who don't give an account for children they bring into this world. It's got to change. One of the things we must oversee is the Congress of the United States. They are corrupt. They have stolen Social Security. They've robbed it. They spent it. And now they're calling it an entitlement. They work 100 days a year, and after 6 years, 600 days, they get full pay for life, full benefits. They call that pensions. And we're going to let them get away with it. No, we're not. The intercessors are going to come forth. We're going to anoint their pictures with oil. We're going to believe God to bring down every corrupt politician that has used and abused their position of authority to spend money that mocks God. And we're going to see God do another exploit in 2017. He will answer our prayers. The one thing that now is just, I can't tell you what happened whenever the Obamacare is getting ready to be repealed. And I'm number one. Lord, I know. I battled it before it became the law. I was exposing it before the Democrat senator said that he co-sponsored the Affordable Care Act. And then, after it passed, he put it into the Senate to be voted on. And after it passed and the president signed it, he confessed that he had not even read it. And he did not co-sponsor it. Well, what did he get for that lie? He got promoted as an ambassador to China. And Lord only knows what else. The Democrats that voted it in, they didn't read it either. And neither did they write it. I've got the people who actually wrote Obamacare today, and I'm going to tell you who they are. None of them are members of Congress. So you say, well, what about the people that didn't vote for it? They didn't read it either. So they're going to repeal it. Hi, I just want to take a minute and recruit prayer ministry leaders to pray with me. One of our partners in Lubbock, Texas, created a cliche and came up to me one day in Lubbock at one of our rallies and said, we need to pray with Faye for the USA. We've been taking that message forward, but prayer ministries, you must come higher. We are losing our nation, and the lack of knowledge is why people perish. You need to know that God is saying we will be delivered. You need to not doubt about when the end is going to come. The Lord has said we're going to reach the world with His gospel. It's going to take women of God. I'm asking women and couples, pastors, prayer ministry leaders, join our efforts to get the accurate information and to believe now. Well, I want to show you my notebook cover because I want you to see it is totally full. It has so much information in it. Only someone interested in this issue would take the time, number one, to review it, and every page is important. But whenever I saw that the senator who sponsored the bill confessed that he did not read the bill, and then later that he did not write the bill, but yet the bill had been signed into law even with the Supreme Court justifying it. They didn't read the bill. And then I began to see the Republicans say, we didn't read the bill. Nancy Pelosi bragged about not knowing what was in it until they passed it, and everybody laughed, and off we go to the races with an incompetent Congress. But I couldn't believe that people could be that irresponsible with a job as important as a lawmaker in this God-blessed country. So when the Supreme Court justified this law, and they didn't read it, And then we had Senator Cornyn from Texas telling everybody, calm down, it's the law. Senator Ted Cruz was trying to defund it, which the majority of the Republicans and the Democrats turned on him like a cobra. How dare you do this? Obama signed it into law. And that all they've ever done is bluff, bully, con, and it has become sophisticated lying, and I think even fraud, because we turned everything over and refused to look out for our best interest when we realize that they're not looking out for our best interest. They're still not looking out for our best interest. And so I began to read the Affordable Care Act, and I studied it, and I would have stacks this big, and finally I got a summary of just what it really was, and I felt I had to educate people to what I had found. So I raised the funds from my partners to produce a video with the facts of Obamacare and the wool that had just been pulled over our eyes by members of both parties. So Senator Cornyn said it's the law, we have to justify Health and Human Services writing all of these regulations, and people thinking they were going to have health care. I said there's nothing health care about this. This is about insurance. And these insurance companies are going to be required to cover everything that the liberals and the feminists and the irresponsible sex addicts want the taxpayers to pick up. Plus, the people in this country don't make enough money to buy their own health insurance, and there's people missing the boat. Well, I have my little ministry, I have my little TV show, I have my little prayer bulletin, my e-blast, my conferencing call. I'm raising up intercessors. That's what I do. If you get in line and the education hits you and you respond and you want to partner with me, fine. If you don't, I don't worry about you. I'm not in a debate club. So what's happened with Obamacare is I actually called Senator Cornyn's office. I said, how would you know how to enforce the law? You never read it. You don't know what's in the law. Neither does anybody. I think maybe one person in Congress said they actually read the bill. I knew Marco Rubio didn't. He didn't read the amnesty deal he tried to do too, and that's another fraud. I co-sponsored. They don't. But let me show you real fast who did write this bill. Now we've got the same crowd back on the front lines that are going to rewrite it. Well, they don't know what was in it to start with. So they said, we're not going to let people fall through the cracks. How will they know? The Congress, they hire people to read and work. They work 100 days a week, if that. We get a day off for holidays, they get 2 weeks. These people don't work. And they live like millionaires. They come as paupers, but what they do is for self-gratification. We're letting them get away with it. We can't do that anymore. I'm believing for 100 people that's going to write me and put a check in the mail or credit card in the mail. Get our congressional director to learn who they are and let them find out who you are. We must put a watch over them in order to make sure the mobs don't take over our streets. They're not going to do it. They're not going to exploit victims of violent crime, especially black victims, if I can help it, another day. Our kids have a better future than Allah, and we must present it to them and give them that choice. Here's a couple of things I want to share before my time is gone. Obama's T4 health care. In 2009, the Blair-Hitler health concept was launched in the United States by the new Obama presidency as a campaign under euthanism of care. It's called reform, just as Blair had done in Britain. The Obama drive culminated in March 23, 2010. Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, leading up to these 18 months of intense propaganda, including 30 hearings and roundtables, under the cynical slogan that under Obamacare, all Americans will get access to care. But they don't emphasize through insurance. In reality, the ACA law is made up of a measure to cut care, destroy the means to deliver it, and to perpetuate death. At the same time, private Wall Street insurers get federal subsidies. Key figures in bringing about the ACA, including several with direct involvement in the British healthcare system, have explicitly expressed the T4 principle that there are lives not worthy to continue. And here is who wrote Obamacare. And the fact that we've got a group in Washington now that never read it. They don't know what laws were enforced. They never bothered to find out. And they're going to redo it and not drop anybody through the cracks is a joke. Here we've got Robert Creamer. He wrote 628 pages of Obamacare while he was in prison. He's married to a congresswoman that marches with the Communist Party in Chicago. We've got Ezekiel Emanuel. He's really the architect of Obamacare. And we've got 4 or 5 more that wrote Obamacare outside of the influence of the United States Congress. And what we need now is for the Congress, for us to find out how many members of Congress has actually ever read it. Hi, I just want to thank you for supporting 2016 with us. We have had some awesome prayer summits in 3 cities, in 3 states, Redeeming the Land and Avenging the Blood of the Innocent. We have met some of the most powerful professionals that do have the information on our country that you need to hear. And we want you to know that God is blessing our program. You can now download the GEB app on your cell phone, on your tablet, or on Roku. And DirecTV now is offering programs on your phone apps. So check it out. Help us get the word out. And then our YouTube also airs our program. I'm so excited to bring this off of shelves that has been filed away. It just dawned on me that we are back at square one. Who wrote Obamacare? It's here. I have a video that I can pull out of our storage if any of you would like to have it. So if you would donate for our television ministry at least $100, I'll go back and you can order the video if you want the notebook, but you have to give me a little bit of time because we don't offer them anymore. I never thought I'd see it again. But to have a Congress and a Senate that are as incompetent as the people that we have, we must put a watch on them. Most of them are out to sabotage the man we elected to be President of the United States. They do not feel that conservatives have a right to choose. And the mobs they want to do on the streets, the George Soros money, it's nothing but straight out of hell. We cannot allow it to happen. But it's going to take the Christians combating it with prayers, Bible studies, reaching out to people and bringing them to Christ. It's knowing Christ that keeps you from killing your neighbor and keeps you from using sex as a sport, keeps you from adultery, fornication, lying, and drugs. You live a decent, moral, exciting life when you know Jesus Christ. And we have got to get off of our defense, get on the offense, and get as many people to Jesus as we can. But I need you to do it. I can't do anymore. I can't work another hour, another day. You have got to get up and work with me. I'll give you everything you need to make you into a disciple for Christ. And then you'll see things start breaking in your life. Today, I want as many people as will write me a check for $1,000. Say, Faye, I'm throwing a lifeline with you. We are not going to sit back and let the Nation of Islam and mobs exploit any child, any color, any race, any gender. We refuse to sit back and let what happened to Trayvon Martin and other black victims of violence. We're not going to let them be used and exploited anymore by liberal lawyers and uncivilized rights. You call them rights. I call them con jobs. You need to know the truth. And then you need to learn who to call, what to say, how to be nice. But just the truth will set us free. So today, will you write that check and say, Faye, I'm going to partner with you. I'm going to pray with you. I'm going to learn the facts. I'm going to be strong. And we are going to cut the mobs and their leaders off at the pass. We're going to believe God for a White House we can respect, and men and women of righteousness in the judiciary. See you next week.
Faye wants to hear from you. Her desire to see America come out of exile is raising up one of the most powerful, informed, anointed, and united prayer networks in America for America. She is organizing Christians for the U.S. Constitution to give uncompromising believers back their voice and witness. If this program has blessed you and you believe in what Faye is doing, contact her, pray with and for her, partner with her. She would love for you to host an Insight rally in your church or city. Organize an Intercessors with Insight prayer team or join one. For a complimentary pocket-sized constitution or Faye's fax, call or email Faye 407-265-0700 or faye.usainsight@gmail.com. Write Insight USA, P.O. Box 917689, Longwood, Florida 32791.